right, we're going to be in Romans 12. We're going to come back to verse 2, but we're going to start at verse 6, and we're going to read from verse 6 through 12. We have different gifts according to the grace given us. If a man's gift is prophesying, let him use it in proportion to his faith. If it is serving, let him serve. If it is teaching, let him teach. If it's encouraging, let him encourage. If it's contributing to the needs of others, let him give generously. If it's leadership, let him govern diligently. If it's showing mercy, let him do it cheerfully. Love must be sincere. Hate what is evil. Cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Honor one another above yourselves, and never lacking in zeal. But keep your spiritual fervor, serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Share with God's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. Then, as Paul is talking to the church leaders in Titus 1:8, as some of you are really familiar with that, and talking about leadership, the overseers of the church, he says, rather be hospitable. Well, I want to welcome all of you leaders here this morning. You all have some incredible talents and gifts. You were chosen by different people in this church to say, hey, come alongside us, partner with us, be with us because of who you are in Christ. I want you to imagine for a second coming to our church for the first time. What if you were an 80-year-old couple and you decided to just move to another state like Steve Strickland's, or move to a town, sell your home, leave the dear friends you've had for years, and go to where your children are? What would it be like as you walked into a new church? Imagine that you're in your 50s and you're just moving across town for whatever reason, whether it was a church split, maybe a divorce, something happened, and you're like, I can't be with that church family anymore. Imagine being a brand new family in this town, and you see this huge church on 79 South, and you think you're going to start there, and you've got these kids, and you're really just hoping that your kids make some friends. Or imagine that you're a young adult in this town, and it's kind of hard to be a young adult in this town, and you've come back home after college, or maybe in the service, wherever you are, and you've come back home, and you're like, great, I'm 25 years old, and I'm living at home. Now what, right? All of those stories, and the stories are endless. You all have your own story when you first came here to Rancho. But all those stories, these people have one thing in common. They desire to belong. They desire to be a part of a family and to connect to a church. They are looking for a church home and seeking a place where they belong. They desire to be called family and experience biblical hospitality. So what does it mean to have a church home? What does it mean to belong? Think about that for a second. What is a home? We have a brand new bulletin that when I first saw it, I was so jazzed about it. And it's what I have in the bottom corner of our slides here. You belong here. I want you to do something with me. We're going to read each little phrase 3 times. And the first time, I want you guys to read it out loud with me. The letter that's in black, I want you to say it with gusto with me, okay? All right? And the rest of them, just normal. And I want you to listen for the impact that that might make on you, okay? Here we go. I belong here. I belong here. I belong here. Kind of cool. How do we, in our departments, help somebody find their home and have a sense of belonging? All of you are coming alongside your ministry, your departments, and you're helping people feel at home. No matter what your ministry, no matter whether you're a volunteer pastor or being raised up as a volunteer pastor, you are serving and shepherding our congregation, the people that come through. Serving and shepherding in your department and the people in your department is an act of hospitality. Just like you serve in your own home, your children, your spouses, you welcome your children home. For me as a college parent, right, when my kids come home, oh my gosh, I want to gobble them up. That's family, right? we are welcoming people into our home and into our departments. In 1 Timothy 3, and then in Titus 1:8, we see to be hospitable or to practice hospitality. And we just read it in Romans as well. Practice hospitality. Now, many think that hospitality is like having a small group in your home, or maybe we have a welcoming center, or you're really great at entertaining. Now, all of these are outpourings, outcomes of being hospitable, and they are fantastic. But there's a difference between being hospitable, having hospitality, and entertaining. And you can't always tell them apart because they have to do with your motive. You can set a beautiful table. You can have a phenomenal house, Pinterest house that's worthy of a television show, right? Or this bomb of a backyard, but not be hospitable. I think it's done us wrong to have these two words interchanged. I know especially for women, we sometimes get caught up in needing to be entertainers instead of just chilling out a little bit and being hospitable. Now, I do envy those with the gift of entertaining. Absolutely. I envy those that I can come into their home and it's so beautiful. Or those people that are extroverts and they just really surround you and want to get to know you. That is really, really neat. But hospitality is demonstrated when we're thinking about how to lift up others around us. How to lift up others around us. Hospitality is when we welcome a stranger as if they are already family. Think about that, already family. Hebrews 13, 1-3. Keep on loving one another, brothers and sisters. Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing so, some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it. Continue to remember those in prison as if you were together with them in prison, and those who are mistreated as if you yourself were suffering. What if we, as servants of the church, thought it was possible that we might be entertaining an angel? Now that kind of blows my mind. Now many of you are angels here to Rancho. But what if we saw every individual as somebody who's created in the image of God? Right? That is who they are. Those people that come off the street or people that sign up for our departments, they're all created in the image of God. Now, ancient cultures valued hospitality, and I've got a favorite researcher. Her name is Christina Pohl, and she actually is a professor in a school in the South. And she states on the origin of hospitality, perhaps we could say that its origin is in human vulnerability and longings for community. It was necessary for survival in the ancient world. It was about treating people, strangers, as if they were already family. What if we saw that it was necessary for the church to survive today? This so excites me. I get giddy when I think about the potential of having a church that is welcoming and incredibly hospitable. So I want to give an example of what I'm talking about. So 26 years ago, my dad married a delightful woman. And she inherited a bunch of stepkids and eventually grandbabies. And then she comes from a family of 8 siblings. And all those siblings have married and have kids. So we get together, we really do try to have this blended family. You know, my birth dad is just really a delightful man. And it cracks me up when we get together with all the family members. She wants a picture every time, every year, right? But she wants a picture with just her husband and her siblings. Not her siblings' spouses, and not her husband's children. Now, we have cracked up at this. We give her a hard time, you know, we gently kind of chide her. And even her brothers have said, Merk, this woman bore my children. You know, she's family. But there's something about her that just really has a hard time opening up her world to people who she hasn't known forever. Think about that for a minute. In our church home, our family of families, what if we treated everyone as if they were family? What if we wanted them in our family picture? That's wild. Living this way is one of the ways that our Lord turns upside down the normal way of things. We not only get to just love our spouses and our children, but we get to invite people into our world and treat them as family. Who does that? It's pretty radical. The church. We get to do that. Groups of friends who are comfortable with one another is the norm. And I hate the word cliques, because cliques really are just a group of friends who trust each other. They enjoy being with each other, and I want to acknowledge that new people can be exhausting, right? It's sometimes really hard. It takes time to get to know them. It takes time to catch them up on the inside jokes, to let them know what you like and dislike. The other day I met a bunch of fandom people, and I thought, well, they could fit in my family because of my kids, but I have a hard time relating. I mean, we all have been there, right? We get that. But I think one of the encouragements that we get from being hospitable, just think about it, the things that the Lord shares with us aren't like these demands pushing us down, right? There's something positive, something that we actually get out of it. We get encouraged. Our world opens up drastically. Think about people that you are close to today that you didn't know 10 years ago. I cherish so many of you guys in this room that have become our dear friends and are continuing to become our friends. I love that. It's about creating spaces where people really feel like they are a part of your family. So last week I decided to take a quick lunch. It was a Wednesday, and I needed to get to Sprouts, get food for my family so that my husband, when he got home, could make them dinner, because I was going to be back here for groups that night. And so I had my agenda, right? I don't know if any of you have a list when you go to the grocery store. I had this mental list. I knew which aisle everything was in, and I was just going to go do it, get done, and get back to work, right? We're on a time limit here. So I walk into Sprouts, and I'm moving my little cart around, and I've got it full of bags, and trying to make sure I don't forget anything. And I turn around, and I see the meat counter, and I see somebody that I know. And so I, like a great Christian, put my head down, right? And I wing around the wine and the cheese, and so as I'm going over to the bread where that gluten-free bread section is, I hear, Lauralyn, Lauralyn, Lauralyn. And I'm like, okay, Lord. But I gotta tell you, in my spirit, instantly, I was convicted. And I heard, love, Lauralyn. I mean, heck, you're writing a talk on hospitality. So I turned around, and I didn't see just one person that I knew, but I saw this other person that I didn't know right there with them. And they both engulfed me, and they both hugged me. And it was as if I was family. And they were like, we love Rancho. We come to traditions. We're a part of this church. And it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. And I walked out to my car fully encouraged, but also discipled by my Lord, who loves me enough to disciple me, right? And he gently just showed me, like, wherever you are, in your spaces, in your life, out and about, practice hospitality. Love these people. And I think they're going to sign up for First Impressions, because we started talking about where they serve and what they're doing. And I'm like, hey, are you going to be a greeter? And they were super excited by that. And they had actually said, we never thought about that. I'm like, gosh, we've got to be inviting people, right, into it all. The way to practice hospitality is to acknowledge the image of God inside each and every person. Invite them into your story, your moments, and your life. And in turn, we find a home that is full of mercy and grace. It's what Christ did for us, and we get to do it for others. Scott mentioned last week, and I love this, what if we tried moment by moment to be Christ-like? When new communities or churches pop up, they have instant growth, right? There's people just coming and coming because that's how a church grows. But it is really common for churches to experience stagnation and wonder why. As Christians today, if hospitality once again becomes a state of mind, people's lives would be transformed. Churches would be revitalized. Hospitality is a fundamental in who we are as Christians. A while back, I read that when churches polled families who didn't come back a second time, why? And the two top reasons were, my kids did not make a friend in children's ministry. Whew, they got high expectations after 2 days, right? But okay. And two, it did not feel like home. It's not about being welcoming, although that's very important. It's about feeling like you're really family. It's like feeling like you belong here. Jesus says in Matthew 25, I was a stranger and you invited me in. We were all strangers when Christ accepted us. We get to be the same to others, to invite them in. Don't just expect them to come to you. This invitation to sit at our table, think about that. To model what Christ has done for us is a renewing of our mind. We are being transformed. Biblical times, lines were drawn between Jew and Gentile, man and woman, slave and free. Romans would not even fish with Galilean fishermen. There were large boundaries and prejudices, and we see some of that today. Yet the blood of Jesus washes all men clean. We are to love and to welcome the people at our church, Christ Church, the bride. So why is hospitality a big deal? I think I've pretty much mentioned it, but I believe it's Christ's plan and his plan to grow the church and to continue to reach people that don't know him. Imagine children's ministry. If when every kid came in, the volunteer pastors were there to welcome families as well as the children. Imagine student ministries. When a kid comes in, they feel like they are fully connected, that they maybe have connected on social media and they also have a buddy and they're like, yeah, I can come back to this place. Because does it not take a tremendous amount of courage as a stranger to walk in somewhere? Yeah. But if they felt instantly like they were welcomed, that would be dynamic. Imagine that we had small groups where people were just, yeah, come in, and oh, I know it's hard because we've been on vacation together. But if people felt truly welcomed. So today I'm going to ask you to go through your departments where you serve. For some of you, what does that look like for people to belong in your departments? When people want to join you, what do you have to offer? Are you thrilled to have them because you get to be with someone created in the image of Christ? I want to bring up a couple. Jen and Andrew, you guys can go ahead and come on up. When I first met them, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to be their best friend, right? They just had a way about them that was so inviting and so fun, and we connected quickly. They're also from Westmont, the college I graduated from, and they have babies and twins, and so there was a lot of neat things that we connected with. But when I talked with them, they're like, we're not hospitable. And so we talked it through it, and I'm like, yes. And so these are two people that actually live it out. And I just want them to share a little bit about their story. So share with us, you guys, your journey to being hospitable.
Well, when,
this is Jen.
Hi.
That's Andrew.
Like she said, we looked at each other and said, story, like, we don't have a story. We're not hospitable. We don't think of it as being hospitable. But we got to talking about our childhood, and maybe we were raised in hospitable homes. And we were, but not biblically hospitable. They were the entertaining hospitable, or being courteous, like Andrew's family, or my parents are from New Orleans. We had kind of a southern hospitality vibe.
They will fight to the death. But if we must die, let it be like this.
One for all for one.
Shoot. Magnificent valor. Shoot them.
pouring into me has just led to one thing after another. And we got hooked up on like high school scholarships or something. And that's turned into, hanging out, coming down, he says, come down, hang out, did that, okay. And we run into one of the young women that's gone through his high school ministry, Brenda Braden. All these kids are like 20 kids, young adults, 23, 24, and they're doing radical things. Like, we want to live on reverse tithes. I just got back from Everest, and I take care of, Ethiopian, orphans. Oh my gosh. I said, what do you do? And just kind of laugh. My dad, I guess. And so with Bones, Elisa, I guess it all started with Steve for me, and just being invited in, and he's reporting to me, and now we're getting to a point where the cool ones are the ones you can see, but we're starting to think, I woke up this morning and thought, what are all the ones you can't see? All those 13 years of giving, or serving, or, the ripple effect is just, I think, we talked about the church last night, I think in eternity, all that will be revealed, and that's going to be pretty powerful. And why don't you talk about Bones?
As he said, we met Elisa through the high school group, and it was kind of, it was kind of a leap of faith for her to come to some stranger's house, and she got to talking about what she does, and I know a lot of you guys know what she does, the Breakfast Club, but some might not. So she basically she started a ministry in northern Ethiopia, and they feed children who otherwise most of the time wouldn't get a meal, so they get their only meal of the day, breakfast before school, and it's not only a place that they get breakfast, but they are getting a safe place to play after school. They're getting health screenings. They get just love, basically. They're loving on these kids. And it's for the families as well. So there's moms that are there that they can't feed their kids, literally at all. There's some that are there that are getting into human trafficking, so they're trying to help families. There are some where they don't have parents, they're orphans. So in talking with her, Andrew and I just really got excited to come alongside her a little bit.
Yeah, we just think that's what we're doing here. That's where we are right now, and that's where we're going. And I think for Bones, it's not, she's doing all the work. She's the one who wants to go to Ethiopia and help these kids, and that's cool, but she needs prayer and encouragement and money, and all those things. So I think as we look at that, we're just trying to come behind her and help her. I think most of us didn't give it, like I've just, I'm on staff or anything, I just have a regular job, but I get so caught up in the day-to-day. Really, it's hard to, especially for a missionary, it's hard to really comprehend what's next and what, without the grand vision. So we're just trying to come behind her and help her. And probably some things she should be thinking about doing. And we're finding that as a common thing with ministers. We talked to Megan, she hooked us up with Bones, and Steve mentioned Bones, and Brady mentioned Bones. For us, that's like a no-brainer. We gotta get a hold of this person. But as we go through, here at Ranch, we found a groove. We've been coming here a long time. We found a groove where we just come up with this simple thing, just like, okay, you have a ministry. What are you doing? And do you need any help? And it's like they've just never been asked that question before. And it's pretty overwhelming that how under-resourced some of these things are, and how little it really takes for encouragement. And I think that's what we're working on right now. It's good work. It's from God. So we're happy with that. That's our story. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you guys. So, and I know it's not easy to come up here and, it's not what you do usually. And, so many of you guys want to be behind the scenes, and we really do treasure that. It is often said from new believers that they had to feel like they belonged before they believed. That is when we can open our arms in practicing hospitality and inviting people in. It's what Christ has done for all of us, right? And it's what we get to do for others. You're a group of incredible people with many different talents, a lot of fun, and hearts to serve, and we so value that. I want to encourage all of you. What if we had eyes to see Christ in every person we met, and really welcome people into our lives as family? Treat them as one of your own. Treat them as if you would want them at your dinner table, taking that big family picture at the end of the meal. We're going to have some time now at your tables, and there's some questions in there. So that each of the staff pastors are going to be facilitating all of those questions. And then we'll have a little break after that. There's some coffee and water out there, and then we'll be coming back and hearing from Scott and Steve.